Yeah, that's right, kids. That's what we're talking about today. You know, I noticed from my observation, not many people do this whole adjusting of the pole screws. Now, with single coil, you don't really get to do that because they are magnetic pole pieces and they don't look adjustable. You could probably adjust it if you remove the pickup and then hammer the pole pieces and end up moving them to however you want. But it's not as easy as like if it's a screw. And I never really put much thought in this. I never really cared. We're gonna use my little Gibson Les Paul here. So with the humbuckers, didn't really, they're like in line with each other. You must have seen my PRSs have the humbuckers in them look a bit weird, and that's because they have this applied to them. It wasn't until I bought my first PRS, the Jade one, the Custom 22, and the shop that I bought it from, I had it. The guitar came with a free setup. And so I took advantage of it. I did take advantage of it right away. Yeah, I think I waited a year or something for before I could use the coupon. A year later, I used it and then I got it set up to the shop. And then when I got the guitar back, it's playing good. And then I noticed, oh, the pole pieces are staggered. And then I realized that it is the balancing. And I think I felt the tone difference. I heard the tone difference. And I like it. And ever since then, I would always kind of do it. And here I'm going to show you how I do it. How I would do it. Now the guitar tech that done it for me, he just did it unprompted. Probably has a different method. The reason why I don't think it's common is because when I mention it to Luthers or when I get a quote to get my guitar set up, I don't really... And I'll ask them, do you do the whole pickup pole pieces balancing or adjustment to get a string-to-string balance? Because that's what really this is about, the string-to-string balance. I have a tendency of playing on the G string a lot, starting to play with it in the G string. Because it's a nice string to play on. Unlike the high E string, it's a bit thinner and it's close to the edge. And also the B string, still a bit thin, but and also a thinner sound. Do I have sound on this? Where is my sound at? You know what I mean? Because the G string rings true. It it's I think it sings, and because it's thicker, it's the thickest plain string. It's easier to get a grip on it. The way I see it. The problem is, I think one of the reasons why I gravitate on the G string is because it seems to be the loud, a relatively loud string, because obviously it's thick and it's unwound, so it can really travel when it vibrates. It can really travel quite freely. And then when you come to the D string, the D string is a thin core, and it's wound, so the vibration is, you could say it's muted, and it's a little attenuated. You'll notice this with your guitars when you play it. You always feel like the D string when you're doing your licks. When you play on the you do your licks and then you start on the plain strings and then you end up on the D string. It just uh, granted it could also be a lack of proficiency of technique on my part, but I'm sure a lot of you notice this too. The D string feels and sounds a little bit lackluster and underwhelming. So balancing the pole pieces can help with that. Every guitar that I have, I tend to do this to it, balancing it. And I like the fact that I like the concept and the thought of having that string to string output balance. So the way I do it, I would use I used to use, I could use it, I could do it two ways. One way is I can use a dB meter, not a digital one where it just shows the number. Ideally, you use an analog one because it's easier to track the movement of the sound of the volume, the output. The other one is just using it by ear. But when you do these things, make sure you don't have any effects that are turned on. Make sure it's the rawest sound possible, the most direct sound from the pickup into the wherever the sound is going to. No compressors, just the rawest sound you can get so that the output isn't getting compressed and it's giving you the illusion that you're having a bit of balance. And even in distortion is a lot of compression. You'll think, oh yeah, it doesn't really matter, but to a degree it does, because when you're strumming your full chords, power chords, you can have a sense that certain strings are a little bit dominant. I don't know, that's just what I noticed. Maybe I've become a bit sensitive to it. but that's what I found. First, what you need to do is you do your initial adjustment of your pickup height, the height on the bass side and the height on the treble side. You can do this multiple ways, however you like, but the way I do it is on the, where am I? How do we jig this? I want to use a second camera. Your screwdriver, I've got my screwdriver that came with the Gibson. Flathead, because that's, the focus is out. Flathead! Whatever you can use that can fit into the pole piece. Now, mine is already a bit adjusted in here. You probably, let me see, overhead cam. How much can you see of the pickup? There's too many reflections in there. See that? Get some zoom action. Notice how the G string is almost completely sunken. If you look at like that, you can, even on the neck pickup, you can, notice the hole on the G string pole piece where when you see it laying flat, see that's that's a D string pole piece there. Let's have it focus. This is difficult, man. So the G string there, pole piece. See if you can catch up as I'm going to rotate it. When you see it flat, like you don't see any tiny bit of the screw head. Man, if only this focuses, huh? I hope you get the idea, because you're pretty smart, right? That's how I do it, because even when the G string is like that, I guess you could say the top of the screw head on the G string's pole piece is I would say it's just under flush with the pickup, the top of the pickup cover. The pickup cover is like that, and the head of the screwdriver is about, it's not quite like that. It's about maybe just under, and that'll be just right, I would say. Set the string. All that damn bending. The reason I tune it like that, I don't do the. That's not how you play, man. You don't play. You play it fretted. But do whatever you want to do. Then you also have to take into account the radius of the guitar. Being a 12-inch radius, the E string and the A string. The A string is just ever so slightly higher than the E strings pole piece because of the radius is not too. It's not like a 10-inch radius like a PRS or something, or Fender 7.5 and 9.5, something pretty round. And on the B and the E string, the way I adjusted mine is they're right about level with each other. So it's pretty close to stock with the B and E string. And the reason why they're pretty close to stock is because of the radius, right? So on the B string, right? You got the B strings pole piece and the E strings pole piece is about equal, and the B string will be sitting, let's say, certain amount of millimeters on top of the pole piece, right? Now, because the radius is going down on the treble side, is going downward, the E string is going to be a bit lower. So if the B string in its pole piece is like that, the E string and its pole piece is going to be like that, which is appropriate because the E string is thinner and it's going to have naturally less output. And so having it a bit closer like that is going to be appropriate in my estimation. So it's pretty simple, really. The main things that really you would be doing is you either raise the A, you raise the A string a little bit, and then you raise the D string, you raise the A string pole piece a little bit higher than the E string pole piece, and then the D string pole piece is higher still. It's the highest one because of the nature of that string being wound and also being the thinnest, having the least output. So it's got to be pretty high. Let me see if I can get a good focus on with the overhead cam. You can probably see it. See, it's almost like a stairway. The E, the A, and the D pole piece. And then when you look at the treble side, G string is sunken, and the B and E string is about equal in height, pole piece. Same deal with the, it's roughly the same deal with for both the bridge and the neck pickup. That's how I do it. Do it however you like. When I'm using my, let me improvise this. You can use, if your guitar is plugged into if the sound is going to your computer by somehow, you can use Audacity. Let me show you how I did it, because my guitar is plugged into my FX board, and then the FX board is plugged into the Joyo cab box, which is a cab speaker simulator that's connecting to my audio interface, and then audio interface to the computer. And then it's received, the sound, the audio, the output is received by Audacity. So let me show you. And then we get a raw sound. And your picking is going to be roughly, you're going to get it as consistent as you can. You don't have to have some computer accuracy precision thing, because that's not how you play. You're gonna be playing live or in a jam stuff. We don't play super computer precise kind of accuracy, precision. So just do your best with your own ability. You can choose to go with open string or 12 fret. See the green line there? The green line next to the blue line. That's where it's peaking. There. I think 6 is the limiter or something. Every time I talk, by the way, it's receiving it, see? So I should not talk. Next string. So it's looking like it's around a -12, maybe a bit more. See how it's still kind of weak, even though the pole piece is already high. G string. See that how the output is about -12, even though it's quite sunken. E string probably could come up. But that'll do. That'll do. I'm happy with that because it's kind of it's alright. It's looking okay. Later on, I might change my mind or I might want to try something new. But it's a good place to start with. I think to me this is better than completely everything's flat, and I would say imbalanced. You could try it with with your cheaper guitar, your experimental guitar if you have one. If you do it on your main guitar, it's reversible. Don't be afraid. That's the raw sound, and then when I kick in my pedal, everything's gonna be a bit lower. I like the headroom. And then I just use the power amp to put the volume up, right? Then when I'm pretty happy with the result of how I adjusted it, I just cover it up. I seal it with some packing tape, or in my case, what I like to use is something a little bit more durable, some clear Gorilla tape. This is some robust. This is not just packing tape. This is sealant tape, like a clear repair tape. Whatever you want to use, man. If you wanna do that, and then maybe use like a soldering iron or heat gun to heat up the parts of the tape around the raised pole piece, because to help the tape mold around the raised pole piece, the D-string. Because me personally, I don't like it when my pickups are getting rusted because of my sweat, so that's why I seal it. And it also maintains a decent look. It's not super shiny, it's not super corroded and patinaed looking. It's right in the middle, I guess. It works for me. So if you do your pole pieces like that, have a starting point, maybe even a decent starting point, that's super acceptable. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be pretty hard to get a ridiculous sound out of it. It's probably going to be, if you try something like this, it's probably going to be better than the stock setup. But if you like the stock setup even more, it's easily reversible. That's acceptable too. But I hope you learned something good on this video. And thank you for watching. That's it for now. Good morning.